So it's about 5 after 5 now in the evening, 13th of January. And I did some sawmilling today. Just sitting out here on the doorstep. Nice and quiet. There's not a breeze. A few little snowflakes falling. And I'm just chilling here, laying out in the doorstep. Funny, 6 months from now, it'll be nice. It'll be like 25 degrees probably. I'll be doing the same thing, probably sitting here by myself on the doorstep. I just thought I'd do a little video. Sometimes it's nice to capture these kind of little simple moments. Someday, you know, when I'm 90 or 80 or whatever age I live to be, I'll be able to look back and say, yeah, I remember those times sitting on the doorstep. Here's a story. My father was sitting right here on this doorstep, actually. Same way I'm sitting right now, like that. And he has his little spit jar down here. I think that's what he had. I remember coming out that screen door, and I was probably 21 at the time. And I was hanging out with kind of a, not a fantastic crowd. They were like stealing gas and that kind of stuff, you know. And I was, of course, the driver, because none of them had cars, because none of them worked. But anyway, I had an 85 Camaro, a Z28, nice car. And I remember I was getting kind of fed up with this bunch. It was coming on the end of summer. It might have been August or something like that, or September. My father was sitting here, and he was just sitting here like this, and I come out the door, and he was just sitting here, and he didn't turn and look at me or nothing. He just kind of was like this, and he was looking out, and he said, I don't think that bunch is a good bunch to be hanging out with, or something like that. And I kind of stopped, and I was like, yeah. I said, no. I said, I know. I said, I'm not going to be hanging out with them much longer. Because I was getting fed up with them, you know, taking advantage of me. And then I remember, I never forget him saying this. I often wished I would have told him that I still remember that before he passed away. But I remember him saying, if you don't have a good name, you don't have too much. And my father was a very quiet man. Like, he wouldn't say too much. You know, like if somebody came visiting and stuff, like, yeah, they'd be having conversations and talking. But you know, he was a pretty good father, you know, without saying a word. But when he would say something, it would kind of stick to you. And that was really the only kind of advice he ever gave me, really, other than the nonverbal type of advice. I mean, you know, you'd see him working and doing stuff, you kind of pick up and say, well, that's my father, you know, that's what I want to be like. But I never forgot that. And I often wish I would have, you know, mentioned that to him. Like, you know, do you remember that time you're sitting on the doorstep and you told me that bunch wasn't a good bunch to be hanging out with? And I can see it just like I can see everything here now. It's funny how things kind of stick in your memory. So I just, sometimes I sit on this doorstep and I always think of that. Because I sit here just the way he did, and probably looking at his property and, you know, feeling pretty accomplished. You know, my father did quite a bit he worked hard. He's a really good example of what you can achieve in life if you just put your head down and plow through things and work. And I'm living that kind of life now, you know. I can sit here and be proud. Of course, I didn't buy the house or nothing, but my father passed it on to me, and I've had a great life. Sometimes I stop and I think, you know, there might be some things going on in my life that aren't great or whatever, relationships or whatever. But when everything's weighed out, I'm not doing too bad. Life's pretty good. But it kind of sucks that I'm alone. That's the only thing, but I don't know if anybody's ever going to stick with me. But yeah, sometimes I walk around the property and I think to myself, you know, my father, like, there used to be a big barn over there. He used to have cattle and stuff, and a lot of changes over the last 50 years. Because my parents, you know, got this house after they got married in 1956. They went out west for maybe about a year and pretty near 2 years. And then my oldest brother was born out there in Alberta. And they came home, I think, April of 58. April or May. I think it was April. Yeah, they got married in May of 56. They come home in April. So almost 2 years. And then he bought this property, and there's property down across the road there too, that belonged to this, right from the river right back. It goes back about 3/4 of a mile from where I'm standing now. And then they got the house, and they were married for, Jesus, 58 years or something like that, I guess. Well, my father passed away in, 2014, and my mother was 2017, so, they would have been married for a long time had they, survived to this point. I just thought I'd do a little short video, and I wasn't expecting to tell that story about my father, but that's something I'm going to do this more often. Just do up little videos of, things that I remember that happened to me in my life or whatever, It's kind of nice to have for somebody in the future, maybe. They might have an interest, or I might just like to, maybe I'll have Alzheimer's or something when I get older. Maybe it'll help me remember something. Anyway, that's it for today.